Good morning, everyone. Getting over being a little bit sick again. I don't know what it is about this year, but this is the 5th time I've been sick. So, it's morning, it's the worst, a little bit of phlegm, a little bit of cough. If you saw a previous video of mine, tore down this quad engine, and yeah, it was just bad. Just holes in the block and everything. You can see it playing peekaboo there, here, and broken stuff all in the inside cam shot. It's just horrible. And then remember, always use an air filter, because that's what happens when you don't use an air filter. Got a new one off of eBay. This is it's a 2012 right there. This is a 2013. I bought it off of eBay, and so the guy, it had 3,000 miles on it or so, something like that. And so then I asked the guy, hey, so good running quality? Oh yeah, it's great, just slap the motor in. No, I'm not going after him, not at all. This is fine. But me being a machine shop, I'm like, I know what happens when you just slap a motor in. I've rebuilt quite a bit of those motors. So I always just pop the head off. I already got it, and it takes about 10 minutes to pop the head off and take a quick look-see. Here we go. It looks fine. Not a problem. But if you kind of look, you can see it's hard. I wish I could show you better. But if you move, you can see the reflections doing weird things. That bore isn't straight. There is no cross hatching anymore. You can see a little bit of a ring groove right there. Nothing here, but there's a little groove right there. And I've got my bore gauge set up. So I've cleaned the top, half decent. Let's get a focus in. There we go. So that's the top of the motor. We're at the 0. It's hard to do one-handed here. If we go down the bore a little bit, we're at 1. So not, wait, there we go. There's the 1. So not horrible wear. That's fine. But let's go here. We're at 3. I hope that shows up well. It should. But yeah, we're at 3 all along here. Oh shoot, there we even got a 4. So we've got 4 thousandths of wear. And it's not just all the way around. It is egg-shaped. So, it's a single cylinder. It does that. And because you got short piston, big bore, and so you're gonna get an egg shape, because that's just the way these things wear. It does have balancer shafts in it, that helps, but it doesn't. Yeah. So we're gonna, at least bare minimum, it rotates fine. It feels great. So we're gonna pull the cylinder and piston off. We're gonna bore the cylinder, put a new piston in it. I'm gonna go through the head and make sure that that's fine. At least I've got some other parts to work with on the other head, in case, but definitely not valves. Maybe the exhaust valves are fine. I can grind those. But I'm sure guides and seals on the head, and then that'll be good to go. But yeah, bare minimum, we're gonna be doing piston, cylinder, head rebuild, and I would like to do cam chain, but it could be more more trouble than it's worth. But that's one of the questions I get a lot is, what if I just get a junkyard motor and put it in my car? All right, well, listen to your key words there. Junkyard. So you love your car, you have a car, you want to keep it going. And you're going to put a junk yard engine in it. Just listen to the words. So your answer's already been answered. Now, if you got a catastrophic failure and you've got a broken block and all that stuff, then sure, go to the junkyard, get a motor for $500. But please, just take the heads off, take a quick look-see. And yeah, we're going to get this engine more torn apart, and we'll look at the machining processes of what we'll be doing in there. Got the piston pulled off, and yeah, there you go. This could have been the same problem as our quad had before in dust. Yeah, this one got like dusted really bad. And yeah, so there you go. You should see some of that cross hatching up at the top. That's where the piston rings don't make contact with the cylinder. And that's why that's still in good shape. So we're definitely boring that. New piston crank feels really good. It's got just the tiniest little bit of side wobble. That's all right, as long as you don't feel anything up and down. Feels good. This motion feels really nice and fluid. Inside there, it's not Babbitt bearings like you see in a car. They're roller bearings. So as long as they stay in oil and don't get too hot and collide with each other, your bottom end is fine. I see the gears look to be in good shape. There's roller bearings all sorts of places in these kinds of motors, so it feels good. There's nothing in here that's concerning. So all the gears look good. Connecting rod feels good, so we're gonna leave the bottom end the way it is. Maybe chain. We'll see how much trouble I want to get into, because that requires removing the stator. Don't listen to me on that one. I actually did replace the timing chain because the timing chain stretched so much that it caused the camshaft to split. So please do always change a timing chain. But yeah, that's kind of tear down, and I'll wash things and then we'll get some parts ordered. Got the head all apart, and shocker, same thing happened to this one, dusted. Intake valves are shot, new ones are on the way. I figured I'll buy 3 valves, that way I can get the old head done in a bag ready for someone else someday. That'll never get used, because that's the way I do things. Valve guys, they want an OEM valve guy, they want $50. Okay, that warrants me to sit on the computer for about 30-45 minutes and get something figured out for those. So I've got those parts on the way. I've got new stem seals on the way. So we're getting that figured out at not even a fraction of the cost of OEM, because they want $15 a piece for these. Ridiculous. So those are on the way. Valves are on the way. I got an engine rebuild kit on the way for the cylinder, so that's going to be, I don't know, $150 or so. OEM was back ordered with no date, so that kind of tells me they don't have them anymore. So we got an aftermarket on the way, 20 over bore. It looks like they go up to 80 over on this. So those are coming. So this project is kind of at a standstill until those parts arrive. Well, I got the parts ordered. They're not here yet, but I'm a genius. I was doing this Kubota block already, And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna put the head upside down on top of the block, and then I've got 2 milling parallels under it. Don't worry, I've already put a level on it. It's all flat, it's all good. Because what I love about a bigger bore motorcycle is you can kind of use automotive equipment. With the 250s and smaller, you gotta get a little creative on boring them. Sometimes it's worth just going straight to honing. But this one, I figured I'm gonna flip the cylinder upside down, put it on top of the Kubota head with parallels, and then bore it with my block bore. What I love about this job is there's no bad ways of doing stuff, there's just bad results. But this is gonna give me a good result in a whole lot less time. So, not the right way to do it, but it's kind of like that saying. There's no bad ways of doing things, there's just bad results. There you go. Someone will get on me for that one, but hey, that's gonna work. So let's get this going. I'm taking a 10,000th pass to start it off, so I can measure it, make sure my tooling's spot on. There you go, we're boring cylinder blocks for motorcycles on an automotive machine. Kind of fun. Now that I got it done, I just had a genius idea. I guess I could have put this part right here in the lathe, like that, and then just use a boring bar. But yeah, that works. So it's bored, it's ready to hone. And then I gotta hone that Kubota block right now. So then I'll put the Kubota in here, hone the block, and then I'll hone this one. I mean, you know what? I better wait for the piston to show up before I do that. That wouldn't be the right operation. Always hone with the piston. I'll bore it before I have the piston, because I know what it's supposed to be. Because it has a measurement on it, what the bore size is. It's 97.07 millimeters, which is 3.821. Like, why? That's a weird measurement. Oh well. But yeah, could have put in the lathe, could have put it in my block board. Shoot, I could have put it on the mill with an offset boring bar. I could have just went straight to honing. I could use my rod hone. There's many different ways to do it. I mean, I kind of like that saying, there's no bad ways of doing things, just bad results. That could be a t-shirt. But yeah, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. There's many ways to decapitate a chicken. There's only one way to Jesus. Only one way to heaven. But other than heaven, there's infinity ways of doing things. Well, I'm amazed parts showed up insanely fast. I ordered this on a Wednesday morning, and it showed up on a Thursday afternoon, all the way from New York. And I'm in California, and I didn't pay for overnight shipping, so that's kind of fun. That's the piston we've got, direct replacement, 97.07 millimeter, weird size. I decided, and I'm going to put the picture here of what I had set up before, and right there, and it's a terrible design, and only bad can happen from that. But here we've got my new setup that I just made, and I took some inch by inch square. I do cold rolled because it is a lot stronger, especially for something like this, and it just looks better, and it doesn't cost hardly anymore. And yeah, welded this together, safer, secure, easier setup. And then I just have little extensions that I screw the whole things. I'll make something better someday. I said that on the last thing. And then, you know, a longer screw in there, so for stuff like this. Because I do enough to make stuff, but I only do maybe 2 motorcycle blocks a year, so it's like hardly worth a machine on its own. So I make what I have work. But yeah, there's my setup, and we'll get this thing honed. I'm fighting quite a bit of board taper, but I kind of changed positions of the stones, so I'm going to set a couple wells, get that taken care of. Let's see how that worked out for me. Let's see, so we got 2 to go there. 1.5 in the middle. 2 there. So we're cutting too much in the middle. Yeah, so we're 2 and 2 at the bottom. So we got rid of our board taper, but now we have a wine barrel. It's a quad engine. It's a work quad, not high performance. We'll kind of work with that. Maybe, how can I fix that? Honestly, that's one of the hardest ones, is getting your bore to do the right shape. It's not just slap it in the machine and go. There's a lot to it, and sometimes it's difficult. So in this case, it's wine barreled. Well, that's a hard one to fix. I don't know how to do it. I can fix the taper in the bottom, I can fix taper at the top, but in the middle, that's a tough one. Don't know how to do it. And there ain't no book that tells you. So, I'm gonna play with it, and we're gonna get it as close as we can. So this is why you don't hone before you get your piston. I got it to the final size it should be according to the dimension. But I measured this, and so it's supposed to be that number. 2707 measures that in standard. But the piston actually measures 23. So it's 15 10,000ths bigger than it's supposed to be. So I'm going to bore to 24. And that's where I'm going to have it sit. So yeah. That's why something like this, where I don't know it, don't know the brand, it's cheap. It was $125 for the kit. Yeah, you get your parts before you do any honing. There we go. We're at our 0 and 3 thousandths of wine barrel. You know, comment in the comments section. If you've got a trick for getting rid of wine barrel, let me know. I'm curious. I'd like to learn. But yeah, there we go. And this is the true test. Is how does a piston fit? And that fits pretty good. Nice, good round motion in there. We're good to go. Cylinder is done. We'll get it out of the machine and get it washed. Yep. let's see. So I need to figure out which way the exhaust is. The exhaust is towards me. Because I need to know piston orientation. These are going to be cutouts for the intake valves. So exhaust goes to me. And connecting rod is up. There we go. So if you've ever done a motorcycle motor before, you know piston goes on first and then you put the cylinder on. Kind of backwards from cars and all that stuff. Now for the fun part is getting this clip in, because you don't want it to bounce out into your cylinder, because that would be a real pain getting that back out. There we go. And make sure your clip is in all the way around. I've seen that happen, not to me luckily, but people I've built motors for where they didn't get the clip in all the way. And then their wrist pin rubs a hole in the cylinder wall. We're gonna put a little bit of oil on the skirts of the piston. Then we're going to put some oil on the cylinder wall.
Hey, your forklift is leaving.
Finally.
Yeah. I told him the other day it was all right.
No, they're just using it. And then we're going to check to make sure that our rings are all offset the way I like. I've got compression rings here and here, and then oil ring there and there. Because the rings are so small and fragile, it's so easy to break. It's getting warm. Central Valley, it is the very beginning of May. It is almost summer. There we go. Felt good going down. I know I don't have ring binding or anything. So there you go. Gonna put those two screws in, and cylinder head. I should be getting the valve guides today. That'll be a kind of a good one for you guys to watch. Valve guides are expensive for OEM, so we're gonna be doing some stuff to make it affordable. So yeah, just those two screws, and once they get the cylinder head done, then bolts on, and then we're good to go. Parts just came in for the cylinder head. Got it set up on my machine. kind of looks cute on there. Just barely fits. This is obviously for automotive heads. So this is what we got going on here. Just take a wild guess on how much Polaris wants for this valve guide. Yeah, you're wrong. They want $50 for it. It's insane. We're getting rid of that, and because they're wore out, obviously. And I just bought some SBI valve guides. That the only difference is that the inner diameter, perfect. Outside diameter, 2/10,000ths of an inch larger, which is not going to make a difference at all. It's perfectly fine. 2/10, not 1,000ths, 10,000ths, 2/10,000ths. Big difference there. And I just shortened them 195,000ths. All I do is shorten it. And then as far as valve stem seals, I got these bad boys. And actually, my engine kit came with some, but I'm going to throw these in anyways. Come on, focus with me. So we got a regular iron metal clad valve seal. The only difference is it's a tiny bit taller, but when I put one of these in the head, the original, it stuck up a lot more than the difference in height here. So our new one is going to be just fine. This is just my cost here. I bought those valve guides for $1.30 and the seals for $1.60. $50 and then the seal $15, so $65 versus $2, basically $3. That's saving a ton of money there. So if you want a set of valve guides and seals, let me know. I'll send you a box and save you a ton of money instead of spending $260 on just guides. So there you go. If you want to save some money, let me know. I'll send them out to you. So here we go. We're gonna, man, I got no good way to do this. We'll just here's what we're gonna do. Can you see that pretty decently? Yeah, that's pretty decent. Yeah, just a hand punch. Yeah, one of these, they were pretty good. And then we're gonna take our new one and make sure you spray lubricant on there. If you don't, you're gonna cry. Don't try to do it without. And then I have little spacers that I make for different heights. That'll sit right there. And then I can kind of, I'll get closer to show you just a bit. And I just go by feel. Yep, that's the right height. That's where it was before. And we'll put new stem seals on there. And that's all there is to guides. You don't need a fancy machine. You can do it on just the bench. Shoot, I mean, this is what I use sometimes. Is I'll just set them up on this plates, punch, weld it on, and that can be a good headstand for you. So, motorcycle heads, you don't need fancy machines unless you have to cut the seats. But most of the time, you just need to lap the valve seats. So there you go. That's new valve guides in the Polaris. And just for funsies, I 2-angle ground the exhaust valves. Intakes are on the way. That just gives you comparison of the difference. Kind of cuts out that harsh angle. As you can see here, and we got that lip there is gone. Because, you know, work quad, performance, horsepower. Now we're ready to put the head on. Should have showed it. Oh well. Yeah, my new stem seals, they're, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch longer. But I put them on, and there was still 60 thousandths in between the bottom of the valve stem seal and at the bottom. So there's still plenty of room if you've got questions on that. So my little cheap aftermarket, not really, it's an SBI number. It's a good quality piece, just less than 1/10 of the price. They work just fine, putting the springs back on, so that's all good to go. And as far as the valves, I didn't have a pilot to put a grinder on the valve seats, so I just did a little bit of lapping compound, and then you have a little suction cup and stick. I'm sure you've seen that somewhere. And then you just spin them around. I vacuum tested it. They test good. So this head is good to go. And so timing chain hooked up to my, and then always, timing chain hooked up to a wire. And then make sure you've got your chain guide right there in place, because that goes on before the head. If not, you'll be like, how do I get that in there? And nice and easy, just goes on just like that. The piston's the hardest part. Once you get the piston done, you're home free. And then put your side bolts in, and then we'll tighten down those head bolts. So I enjoy working on motorcycles, motors. I don't do them very often, simply because most of the time a customer will say, oh, you're gonna charge me $2,000 to go through a motor or whatever. I don't know, I'm just saying a price. Oh, the vehicle ain't even worth that. Well, what's your replacement cost on that vehicle? In this case, a brand new one of these is really, really expensive, so it's worth putting some money and time into. And yeah, you get the idea. You've seen this done before. I'm gonna get those tightened down, and we're gonna move on to the next thing. Now this is where things get dicey, because I can't find, first I don't want to pay for a service manual, because sometimes those are really expensive, especially for a bike like this I'll probably never do again. So getting the actual numbers, I found a website that talks about this motor. I think it's a Fuji. They say Fuji, F-U-J-I motor. I don't know anything about them. So from what I'm seeing, this is what we've got going on. According to that website, there's my numbers I'm working with. 2251 loosen, 11, 90 degree, and 90 degree. So we're gonna start with 22, because this is better than me guessing a torque spec. So that, I'm gonna go 51. And this is probably don't out, so I was tightening these kinds of bolts. I'm going to for a little bit. That works. That's close enough. I'm just anyways. But it's really tight. I guess this is going to be, if I make a mistake, you're going to see it right now. And you should learn from me to not do it this way. Right? So I'm going to tighten these Can you see what I'm doing? Yeah, so now what I'm doing is I'm gonna tighten the small bolts, the ones on the side, to kind of hold things in place when I loosen the main head bolts. So let me go get a wrench.
Done tightening your stuff yet?
Yeah, you want me to go over there? I mean, I'm not done, but I can be for now. Next up, you loosen the bolts so that they're just finger tight, and then you're going to put it to 11 foot-pounds, which 12.5 is the smallest that this one is capable of. And then we're going to change to angles, and then we can start wrench at 7 still objects, and then we're going to take this and put it 90 degrees. We're going to do 90 again. Feels good. Feels good. It's not too low. Yeah, that feels good. Now, not that I know I'm right, because I'm going off of some guy on his website on the internet. I don't like that. But bolts felt good. And then with these side bolts, I'm sure 8, 12 pounds, or just wrench tight. It's just a placeholder. Nothing fancy on it. Now, as far as timing on these, they're very different from automotive. So you take that side plug right there, and let's see if you can even see. Yeah, I think you can see that. There's a line and there's a T, and you're gonna put it in the middle of the hole, and it's really easy to miss. It's not even like a hard chiseled line or anything. It's just like engraved. And then you're going to be taking the cam, and you're going to have 2 lines, one there and there. You're going to align that with the top of the head, and that looks pretty good. And so then opposite from a car, you're going to put your timing in set in first, and then put the cam in. And then tighten this bolt down. And then also make sure you take your tensioner out. Yeah, because the tensioner is going to pull that chain tight and you won't be able to really do much. And then once you get everything lined up, you're going to put your tensioner back in. Let me get that done. A couple things that I need to do. How you do these is you're going to pull this nut off, and then let me go get some tools. How this one works is you pull that cap off, and then there's going to be a spring inside. Sometimes they'll have kind of like a spring screw sort of thing, but this isn't that fancy. And then you're going to press this, and then that pushes back in. And then, oh, look at that, there's a guide pin for that spring. And I think it only goes on one way, huh? Yeah. And then you're just gonna push that back in. So then now there's no tension. it's automatically gonna push that tensioner and get it all tight. Yeah. And then we'll rotate the motor. I'm assuming, let's see, intake is this side, so yeah, so it's gonna rotate this way. And the piston should be on its way up at this point. And right there we got our lines again, and should be able to look in the inspection hole. And we're off a bit. The TDC is, so we're off just a tad. So we'll adjust it because the T is down here, so it's off by a tooth somewhere in here. So we'll redo it and try again. Turns out I was right. It just I put the top, come on, rocker arm, bulkhead, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, definitely rocker arm setup. Put that on because the cam lifted a little bit this way, so that caused some weird stuff. So yeah, I was right on the timing before. So I'm gonna go find valve. I'll get this tightened down, and then we'll find valve lash and see what's going on there. I can see already there's a big difference going on here. Why that's so loose, I don't know. Maybe because the valves were shot and they kept adjusting them. That's probably what happened, because I can see originally, let's see how that zoom works. We can see originally there was that much space, and then we can see here they've definitely screwed it out a couple of times. I can see 2-3 threads on the exhaust, and I can see like 4 or 5 on the intake. So they definitely played with that. So they kept it running by keep adjusting it, but there was a problem. So we're gonna get this tightened down. I'm gonna find specs, and we're gonna get the valves adjusted. And when I take my feeler gauge and I put it in here, this is the 25 thousandths, and there's still a little bit, so we've got about 30 thousandths of lash in there. What happens is the valve wore out, so the valve kept getting sucked higher and higher, so then they have to keep screwing this out and out more to make up for that, to keep it running. Spec on this one, I've verified it. YouTube video, online, a couple of places. We've got 6 thousandths is what it's supposed to be. So we're going to select our 6 thousandths feeler gauge. Finger tight, feels good. And here's my wrench. There we go. Want just a little bit of resistance, not much. So we got 6 thousandths, and you're just going to do that for all 4, intake and exhaust. Well, motor is back in the quad, transmission in. I found it easier to put the transmission in first and then put the engine in. Don't do the whole thing all at once. It was a little bit easier that way. But yeah, we got coolant in and engine oil in, new filter, and this thing, it runs pretty good.
So all that's left is to go eat lunch and put some plastics on, and this thing's going to be done. Probably finish it up tomorrow. But yeah, new air filter, that, and then grease everything. Grease zerks probably get missed, which is common. Definitely like A-arms, drive line, we've got one there. So just kind of all the control arms, check all the grease points. And this thing's gonna be brand new, ready for the next adventure. Hope this is educational. Motorcycle engines, fun. Normally, they're not worth the time because someone will do it cheaper, but it's my wife's boss, and I figured I'd help him out and get this one done. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.